Hi everyone, welcome to the Inventor Introduction video. What we're going to do to start is create a new project. So I'm going to go up to File, hit Manage, and then click Projects. You get this window pops up. I'm going to hit New. It's going to be a single user project, so I hit Next. I'm going to give it a name. I'll call this one Cube 2. I'm going to change the location folder. Go to my desktop and make a new folder called Cube 2. Click off of it, and I'm going to make sure it's selected, hit OK, and then hit Finish. Now my project's all set up, and if I look right here, I can see I've got Cube 2. If I change it to Cube, I can see all of my Cube project files, and if I go to Cube 2, I can see it's just blank because I haven't made anything yet. So we're going to start with our parts. So we're going to make these 4 parts, and then we're going to assemble them together. I'm going to start with 511. So I'm going to go up and hit New. And then this is a metric part, so I need to hit the arrow and go to the metric folder and then pick the millimeter IPT. So this will open up the millimeter part file. To start modeling, I'm going to click on Start 2D Sketch. And then I'm going to look at this cube up here in the top right. And I'm going to pick the plane that aligns with my front. And when I click it, it then goes into this sketch mode. And I've got my sketch tools up here. Now, I'm going to start with this shape right here. So 60, 60, 30, 30, 30, 30. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to grab a line, click my origin, I'll go 60, zoom out, 30, 30, 30, 30. And remember these dimensions, if you double click them, you can change the value of the lines. That's one nice feature. I'm going to close this with the last 60 millimeter line. And now that I'm done, I'm going to hit Finish Sketch. So over here in my part 1 is just made up now of Sketch 1. If I double click Sketch 1, I can edit it. If I don't need to, I can just hit Finish Sketch. So now we need to extrude it this distance right here, this 30 millimeters. If I go back and I hit Extrude, and since there's only one sketch, it's going to immediately start extruding. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this symmetric option and then change it to 30 millimeters. And then hit OK. If I need to edit that, I can double click my extrusion and I can go back and edit it if I want to. I can also go back to the sketch. I can double click that sketch, and if I edit the sketch, let's say I want this to be 10, and I hit Finish Sketch, it will update both. Control Z back. So now I'm going to save this, and notice it automatically defaults to my Cube 2 folder. So I'm going to save this as 511, and then I'm going to start on 512. I'm going to hit Save. The other thing you can do too is if you go to, I think it's Tools, and you select all the surfaces and then you click on Appearance, you can change or adjust. That's what it is. You click Adjust and you get this color wheel that pops up. You can change it because this one is blue. I'm going to change this one to blue. Hit OK, and then I'll just save it again. Now I'm going to hit New, another millimeter part. I'm going to start 2D Sketch. And now one thing I want to show you really quickly is I'm going to pick the same front plane, but I'm going to do this next one a little bit different. It's kind of considered a best practice to use this rectangle 2-point center, or to draw things that are centered around this origin point. So I'm going to pick this rectangle 2-point center. I'm going to click the center, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle that's 90 wide by 60 tall, and that'll be for the full part. So I'll go 90, tab, 60, enter. And notice it's centered on the origin. So I'm going to hit finish sketch, and then I'm going to extrude it. It's the same 30 millimeter, but I'm going to pick symmetric and then change it to 30 millimeter. Okay. So the reason I go through all this is because now that I've got surfaces that I can click on and sketch on, I'm going to add these two holes, or these two cutouts right here and right here. I need to cut those next. I'm going to start 2D sketch, and I'm going to click on this face and start sketching on this face. And now I can use a rectangle 2-point. I can also use my line tool. So if I click that corner, I can go 30, tab 30. I can draw that square, hit finish sketch. Once I'm done, I can extrude it, but now I'm going to switch it, the direction, to flip it, and then I'm going to say go through all. And notice it's selecting the cut. It's red, which means we're cutting. So the reason I do this is, see how I have extrusion 1, which is my main feature, and then I've got extrusion 2. You have this menu called pattern, which is a very powerful menu. And I'm going to mirror this feature over to the other side. And if I design this part the right way around those planes, it's really easy to do. So it wants a feature right here. The arrow is already selected. So I just click my feature, and now it wants a mirror plane, but I can also select these ones. So if I click the YZ plane, see how it automatically selects that plane that's in the middle, and I can hit OK, and it copies it. So I'm going to select everything, go to adjust. This one's like a magenta. Hit OK, and I'll save. Okay, now that I've got all the parts modeled, I'm going to create an assembly and put them together. I'm going to hit new, assembly, and then I'm going to hit place up in the top left. I'm going to start with 511, hit open, place one of those, go back to place, 512, hit open, place one of those, hit place, 513, hit open, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. So I'll just click 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I hit place, and then I bring in 1 of 514. Hit open, bring in that one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my screen here a little side by side. So I'm going to assemble them based on this layout right here, in that same orientation. And so to start, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to hit escape to turn off the place tool. Then I'm going to go to view, visual style, shaded with edges. That gives us these edges, much easier to see. I'm going to go back to assemble, and I'm going to use this constrain tool right here to place them. And what I'm going to do with the constrain tool is this is going to allow me to use the mate and the flush options to move them around. And I'm going to start with getting one of these L-shaped ones. I'm going to start with this one right here. So what I'm going to do is, in my origin folder, I have my sketch planes right here. Those 3 original planes that were in all my parts, they're also in the assembly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain this one based on those planes, and I'm going to try to lock it in place. So I'm going to start with this face right here. And then I'm going to go to my top plane, which is this XZ plane, and I'm going to click that. And it's going to drop it onto that plane. I'm going to hit apply. So now I'm going to do the same thing. See my front face right here? This face needs to be aligned with this front face, which is right here. So I'm going to click that face, and then I'm going to go over to my plane. That's my front plane. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can hopefully see this. So see how that plane is aligned with my front? I'm going to click that. Of course, it doesn't do what I want. Sometimes you have to hit a different option, like clicking flush here flips it in the right direction. So that worked. Now if I hit apply, now what I've done is I've locked it. So see how it can only slide back and forth. I can't move it up or down or left or right. So now I'm going to add one more constraint. It'll be another mate, the back face, and then this other plane, this X or YZ, which is my right face. Now I hit apply, cancel. So now that part is fully constrained. It's locked in place. It can't move. So now I can pick the next face or the next part. I go to constrain. I'm going to click this face, which needs to fit right here. And it's going to be a mate. So I click that, hit apply. And now I can try to do a flush. This top with this top. There we go, hit apply. And I want this face and this face to also be flush. So I'm on flush, so I click that and that. Hit apply, there we go. Now those are all locked in. So same thing, constrain. Click on this face. I'll click right there. Nice. Hit apply, change it to flush. We'll go flush, flush, hit apply. And then flush, flush, hit apply. If you try to add, something you're going to run into is you're going to try to add, so see how this part is constrained. This thing can't move anywhere. It's locked in place because we've told it that it has to be in the certain location. If you add another constraint, so if I had another flush and I say, okay, actually, I want you to be locked in place and then also be flushed from here to here. Or, well, that's not going to work in this case. If I go mate this surface to this surface and hit apply, it's going to bark at me and say that it can't do that. This menu just means that you've locked the location in a way that it can't be moved. You're telling it to be in two places at once. So if this happens, you can just cancel it and try something different. If you click on your parts, you can hit this plus sign and see all the different mates and flushes that are on that part. And if you highlight them, it'll show you over here what surfaces are mated or flushed. So that's kind of a handy tool. And you can go back and delete them. Like if you made a mistake, you can go back and just right click on it and say delete and then re-add it. That's going to happen a lot. Okay, so now this one's going to be kind of tricky. So I'm going to do another mate there. There's another mistake you might make, constraining to a line. You never want to constrain to a line. I'm going to hit apply. If I do that, it gives me, oh, that's actually not too bad. But you don't want to do that. Lines are going to make things problematic. So I'm just going to go back, click my part, it highlights it blue. I find that mate, delete it. Then I can go back to constrain and add it again. Hit apply, and I'll try to flush. Whoops, there's no way to deselect it. So if I hit flush, there and there, oh, change it to flush. There's my flush, hit apply. Then I could do another flush there to there, hit apply. There we go, it's looking pretty good. This little home button's kind of nice too because it just resets it. Now I'll go back to mate, start there to there, hit apply. I'll try to do a flush there to there, nice, apply. And then this one, I should be able to mate from there to there, apply. That looks pretty good. Now we've got this magenta one, so I'll do a mate, top to top, hit apply, flush, end to end, apply, and then flush here to here, and that'll snug it in. Apply. Now I just need the blue, so mate there to there, apply, flush there to there, apply, and then flush there to there, apply. There we go. So now this is our assembly. So now I'm going to save it, and it's going to save it as a .iam, which is an assembly file. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this exploded view. So we hit new, and we're on metric still, and that was a millimeter IAM that we used for the assembly. So now we're going to make a presentation, which is a standard millimeter IPN. So we hit create, and we're going to insert our assembly. So I just click the assembly, hit open, and now my assembly's in there. So I'm going to hold shift and click these top two parts and hit tweak component. I can pull those up. And then I'm going to click on these bottom two. Click these bottom two, tweak component, and then move those down like that. Maybe a little bit more. Whoops. So now I can save this. And you might have to say, well, let me save it first. You might have to say new snapshot view, and that just adds this view right here. If you hit play, you can actually see it animated. We're going to save that. And then we're going to add them to drawing sheets. So I'm going to click on the new button, and I'm going to do the millimeter IDW, which is our drawing file. Down here, you might not have your name. It might be something weird. If you right click on drawing one and say iProperties, then you can go to the summary and change your name in the author section, and it will update down there. So I'm going to start by pulling in my view. So I'm going to click base, and then I'm going to pick with this folder. I'm going to pull in the cube first, so the assembly. So I'm going to pull that in, and then I'm going to hit this corner so that I get the isometric view. And then I might do like a 2:1 scale, and then I'll make it shaded as well. So I hit OK. There's my cube. So now I'm going to go back to base, and now it wants to put my presentation file. So that's okay. So shaded, 1:1 scale is fine. There's my presentation view. Now I'm going to add my parts list. So I go to annotate parts list. Right here, you select your view. So I click my view, hit OK. I'm going to generate your bill of materials. I'm going to hit OK. And now I can put this bill of materials down here. So I've got all my part numbers, the item number, and the quantity. The item number is the balloon. So I go up here to balloon, click the placement. You can do like a little horizontal leader, hit continue. That looks a little bit nicer than just a straight line, but that's item 1, and there's one of them, and the part number is 511. So these just correspond with the bill of materials. Right clicking and just hitting continue. So I'm going to add these balloons to all my parts. There is an auto balloon feature as well, but we don't really need that for this. So that's all you really need to do. I'm going to save that. And then if you wanted to do the dimensions for the drawing sheets, so up here on assembly 2, you can do them in this file. You can also have a separate file for it. So if you just right click and you say new sheet, I can make a new sheet. So now I've got sheet 2 or sheet 1 and sheet 2. So on Sheet 2, I'm going to put 511. I'll start with that one. So 511. And I can just go click my top view, click my right side view, click my ISO, hit OK. Double click the orange box on the ISO, make it shaded. Annotate, dimension. You're gonna have these dimensions. Just try not to click the midpoints. That kind of, if I click that midpoint, it won't give me the dimension. It wants me to click something else to do the dimension. So just try avoiding those midpoints. I could pull that out, add my dimensions, change the scale if I need to. It's up to you. If you right click on your sheet, you can say edit sheet. You can name it. So this would be, so you can make the rest of the sheets by just clicking, saying new sheet, add the rest of them. So you've got your assembly, and then you've got a dimension sheet for each part. Now to turn it in, it's really easy. You just hit File, Export, PDF. And if you hit Options here, then you can say All Sheets, and it will export all the sheets. If you have different, so like, let's say you have just the assembly in this file, and then you have another drawing file that has the dimensions for the parts, then just export them separately. They'll be separate PDFs, that's fine too. And then just turn those PDFs in on Moodle. Thanks, hope this makes sense. My computer kept, I don't know, overheating, and the recordings would just stop at random times. So hopefully this makes sense. Sorry for the confusion.